You guys need to watch this video to the end. If you do not believe in manifestation, you will believe in manifestation after this video. Hey guys, my name is Autumn and thank you for tuning into my channel. On this channel, we will talk a little bit about manifestation, mindset, a little bit of spirituality mixed with a little bit of practicality. And I am so excited to bring you this video today here on this channel. This is actually my second channel. And a little background on me is that I have changed my whole entire life completely. Within the last year, actually, that's where I've saw the most progress. I've relocated to a new state. I moved my business. I have made $100,000 in revenue in my business, and I have gotten my dream car, my dream life. Everything that I wanted to see about 2 years ago is finally now in my reality in its totality. And it has been amazing. It has been a roller coaster. But if I did not believe in manifestation, if I did not think that I had the cheat code, I feel like I understand so much more after I tell you this story. So let's get started. So I actually manifested two of the biggest things that I wanted. That's two things that I wanted for an actually very long time, and that is my puppy Medusa. She is a Siberian Husky. I'll put a little picture, a little video up here. She is perfect. That is my girl. That is my sidekick. I have been manifesting her forever. I'm going to tell you a little bit of background on that, and I've also manifested my exact dream car, which I thought would be good to do the video and sit in here and do the video with you guys. You guys, I am now driving a Range Rover Evoque, and I never thought, it's not that I didn't think that I would have it, it's you just have to listen to the Bridge of Incidence when I get into it. Like, the way that it all came together, the way that I have both of these things right now is so crazy, but they actually work together. So make sure you listen to the end to see how the Bridge of Incidence, how I could tie it back together, and it's going to be great. So I'm so excited to share with you this video. So I'm going to start off talking about my puppy Medusa. I love her. So a little bit background about me. I really wanted a Siberian Husky when I was young. So back to that throwback movie, Snow Dogs. I think that was with Cuba Gooding Jr. and then 8 Below with Paul Walker, RIP. So I really wanted a Siberian Husky, and I wanted it to look like the main characters. So with the all white with the black and then the black mask around the eyes, like that was what I wanted. I wanted that puppy, and I remember I didn't realize, because I actually had a Rottweiler on my vision board, because I honestly forgot about the Husky. That had been some years ago, but my complex at the time would not let me have a Rottie in my complex. So I was so devastated. But the crazy thing that happened was my friend, she was selling Huskies at the time, and she was like, oh, well, my dog had puppies, and I used to play with her Huskies all the time. And I told her, I was like, I remember I used to want a Husky back in the day, and I told her about how the videos and all that, and she had asked me like just to come look at the puppies one day, and because they were born, and they were so cute. And one thing about me, I love animals and all that. What girl doesn't? So anybody can like kidnap me pretty much with a puppy. So I went to go to her house to see these puppies, and I remember seeing Medusa, and I was like, oh my gosh. I'm gonna show you a picture of her when I first picked her out. Like, I didn't know that she was gonna look like how she looks now, but I was just like, just in love with her. Like, I just knew that this was my dog. She was so rambunctious. She was me pretty much. And I was like, I have to have her. So I immediately that day told her, I was like, okay, I'm getting a Husky, because Why not? My mom, she would never let me get one. I remember when I asked her, I was like, after we saw the movies, I was like, Mom, can I please get a husky? Can we please get a husky? And she was like, no, they're too much work. They're too much work. And I would show her pictures. I'd be like, oh, but just like the main dog in the movies, like, it's so cute. Wouldn't it be cute to have one? And she was like, no. So that's why I just kind of forgot about the whole husky thing. So when I see Medusa, it was just like it clicked that I was like, I want her, right? But it wasn't until a few weeks when it was kind of coming close to me picking her up, like she started getting her features, she started getting like the black around her eyes and her mask, and her color really started coming into where she was really like black and white. And so I remember showing a picture of her to my mom, and my mom was like, oh, you're really getting a husky, and it looks just like the husky that you wanted when you were younger, when you showed me on the videos. Remember those movies? And that's when she brought to my attention. I was like, oh my gosh, like she really does look exactly like those dogs. And I remembered, I was like, okay, like that is a sign. If that's not a sign, that's a sign. So hold that thought on my puppy. I'm going to now talk about my car. So to understand why this is really big for me to get my dream car, we're going to take it back a few years. So a few years ago, I had just quit my job in 2019, and I started my business from my apartment at that time, living back in Florida. Like I've said, I'm now relocated to Texas, and so much had happened through that time. And so much I was trying to manifest. I was trying to relocate actually to Texas at that time, but COVID got in the way. So what I would do in 2019, when I first quit my job, I had set a whole bunch of manifestations up that I wanted, a whole bunch of things that I wanted to achieve when it came to me starting a business. So all the things that I wanted. And when I did a vision board, I remember putting this exact car on there. And so you guys, I'm going to place a screenshot, because one of the things that I would do is I would late at night, when I was visualizing and I was manifesting, and I would think about me driving my Range Rover, I would rebuild the Range Rover on the Range Rover site. So then it got to a point where I screenshot it and I made it my screensaver. So I'm going to put the exact screenshot, and it's from, I believe, like May 6, 2019. You guys, this is no BS. I literally screenshotted this and I placed it on my screensaver for my phone. So I'm going to place the exact screenshot right here. You see the date up there. That was the day that I was like, okay, I'm going to get this car. I don't know when, I don't know how, I'm going to get this car. Right. So I dropped it for a while because COVID came. I didn't know what was going to happen. And at that time I was focused on my business, and I was like, I'll never be able to move to Texas. There's so much going on in the world, XYZ. But I still stuck it out. And looking back now, like, it's just crazy how everything happened. But I'm going to tell you the story of how I just happened to get this car pretty much out of nowhere. You guys, like, this still to this day, when I really think about it, it really just shakes me to my core. And what happened was, one day, this was about 3 days before I was due to pick Medusa up, I was going downtown. So I live in Austin, Texas. So I was going downtown in my hoopty. So one thing about my car, I had an old 2008 Pontiac G6 that I've had for like ever. That was my car, and I've had such an attachment to this car because it was my first big girl purchase. And not just that, but it was that one piece of thing that had me attached to the old life that I had. And so in some ways, I was now living in this life where I had my business that was thriving, doing well. I started upgrading my lifestyle, but my car was still that one thing that I felt that had attached me to the old me, right? So, and I had a hard time letting it go, because I had been through things. I had slept in that car. Like, there was just a lot that was attached to that car, my old identity. So when it came time, what happened those 3 days before I was due to pick up Medusa, I was going to meet my best friend downtown, and we were going to have lunch. So parking, you have to park in garages at Austin a lot of the time. So I went down to a parking garage, and I was coming down the parking garage because I wanted to see if there were any more parking spaces closer to the front. So when I was coming down, I heard my brakes squeaking really loud. And I was like, I literally just put $2,000 into this car, like not even like 2 months prior. And this was back in February. So I was just confused because I was like, what the hell happened? Like, I just was like already mad because I was like, I had already like been working on saving for other things. So I was like, okay, this is not what I want to do right now. And at that moment, I wasn't sure if I wanted to get a new car, but I was like, let me just hold off on my feelings and not get all tied up and wrapped up in the emotion of this happening. So I went to lunch with my friend, and I expressed to her, I was like, hey, like, I don't know, I think I might have to get a new car because I don't want to have to put another 2K into it, because the brakes were grinding, baby. And I mean, not like squeaking, but grinding. Like literally they could give out grinding, and out of nowhere, it was like out of nowhere. And up until then, I'm like, I didn't even hear the brakes squeaking. So I was so confused as to what was actually happening, but I was like, I just couldn't understand. I was so flustered with everything else that was going on in my life. And I told her, I was like, I really don't want to put money into this car. I really don't want to do this. I really don't want to do that. But knowing in my heart that I really wanted a new car, I just was so attached to my old car. But my best friend at the time, she said, hey, you might have to. And she's like, you might have to because there's a car shortage, there's a chip shortage, and there's all these things, like life is happening XYZ way, all these things. And you know, had I would have listened to that, I would not have that car right now. And not to say that my best friend was like, you know, doing anything intentionally, but it was me persisting in the fact that me accepting that I wanted a new car, right? So we have the conversation, I drive home, and on the way home, I'm thinking, as I'm like being extra cautious, because you know, you don't need to play here on the roads here in Texas. So I'm driving on the way home, and I'm thinking, okay, I started thinking back on things that have been happening previously to see if I could connect it. And this is how I know I have gotten pretty like decent at manifestation. I had to start looking on what was happening on the outside to see if there were anything connecting together. And it was. So about a week prior, my credit score had went up like 20 points randomly, like, and it was really, really high. And then I ended up like making a whole bunch of extra money at work. Plus, also, I ended up getting a lump sum of money for a teaching gig that I had done for my business. So it was really like, I was like, okay, like, it's not like I don't have the money to get a new car. Plus, I had already been saving. Plus, I had already been thinking that I wanted a new car. There was all the signs that were kind of pointing like, okay, like I need to get a new car. And at that moment I accepted, and it's like I could feel me breaking away from this car, the car that I had. And I could feel me like detaching from that old me and accepting that I need to get a new car to be able to pretty much seal the deal on my new reality, this new version of myself and who I was becoming, right? So when I went home that day, I automatically went to the computer and I was like, let me sit down and think about what I want to do, because I'm thinking at that time, you know, from those 2 years and from the Range Rover, I had already like been manifesting this Range Rover, you guys, for so many years, but I almost played myself out of it because I started looking at other cars that I was like, okay, well, maybe like I should get a Camry because it's good on gas. Maybe I should do this. Maybe I should do that. There's a chip shortage. There's all these things. And then I started to kind of almost play myself out of it. So I started looking, and I started looking at Camrys online. I started looking at other cars online, and it did not feel right. And in my heart, I was like, let me just type in Range Rover, because I just want to see. I just want to see, right? And I'm like, well, there's no way that they would have the exact same Range Rover that I want, because they're not even, Range Rover at the time was not building cars. They put a pause on building cars when I checked the site. So I was like, they wouldn't even be able to build the kind of car that I want. And when I buy this car, I want this car in the exact way that I want it, right? I want everything. I want all the bells and whistles that I put on it when I used to build my car on the website. So I was like, there's no freaking way, but let's just see what they have, because I'm like, even if they have an all white one, because the car I wanted, it was the all white with the black top. So I'll put pictures and videos, you'll see my car. Like, I wanted a very specific car, right? And I did not want the regular, I wanted the sport, I wanted the fast one, I wanted all of that, right? So I typed in Range Rover Evoque in my search bar to see which ones were surrounding me, and there were some that came up, but they just were not the car, they were not the color, they were not. So I ended up typing again, and I put near me there, right? So as soon as I did that, you guys, I swear, I'm gonna post a picture right over here if I can. I posted a picture, and it was my exact car. Like, it literally, like, I just saw it and I was like, it's like literally a mile away from me. It was a mile away from me, you guys. And I was just like sitting there. I was looking at the price. I was looking at everything, because before I said, well, if I were to get a Range Rover right now, in a used one, it needs to have less than 20,000 miles on it. You guys, I go look, it's the same color, it's the same color as the car I want, the same interior. I start looking at the features and I'm like, okay, it looks like the same things that I've put into when I was building my car. And then I went and I looked at how many miles there were. You guys, I shit you not, there was only it was a little under 17,000 miles on this car, and for the price that it was, like, when I tell you, I was like, okay, I'm going to reserve this car. So I said, I'm going to reserve this car because I picked Medusa up on Saturday, and I was like, I work and I get off early, so I need to go test drive. I need to go do the research, and I wanted to do more research on the car, that specific car, look at the Carfax and all that before I decided to go. But I wanted to test drive it anyway, regardless if I got it or not. So I reserved it for that Saturday. So that whole time I'm shook, because in my heart I feel like this is my car. I know that this is my car. There's nothing that you could do to tell me that this is not my car. It's the exact same car, a mile away from me, a mile, with the mileage that I wanted, with the price that I wanted. Like, there was no denying. I was like, if I don't not get this car, there's something wrong, right? So, but within those 2 days, I used that time to like reaffirm my beliefs in the fact that I was worthy enough to have that car, that I just had to just be on the lookout, because the Bridge of Incidences was already, like, that's when I started like piecing together that things were happening and lining up in a way that was what I wanted. And it's crazy because I started visualizing again and reaffirming again, because I was like, okay, like, this is my car. There's no doubt in my mind, this is my car. And what I would do, I started back doing the things that I was doing when I used to visualize that was my car back in 2019. So I would visualize me holding the steering wheel. I visualize me holding the steering wheel. I would visualize me touching the little thing that says Range Rover and feel how it felt. You guys, 6 months prior, I had got a keychain. Let me find it. A keychain for my keys, and it is a Range Rover lanyard. And I turned around and got a Range Rover keychain. Got this of my exact car, this keychain. I went and got that keychain, and I had my old keys on it. It was just like, there were things that I was doing already to manifest it, and that's when it clicked that this was the Bridge of Incidence. This is what Neville Goddard has been talking about, what people like have been talking about. Like, I could see it like playing out. And so fast forward to Saturday when I went to go to work that day. So I had to work, and then I was going to go test drive and see if I wanted the car and all that. So as I was saying, so I had left for work early in the morning, and I got all dressed up, and I was like, today's my day. I'm gonna get this car. If there's nothing else I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get this car. I was reaffirming. I was like, I already got the keychain. I already did the visualizations. I already like this, it was here. It was just like, it was like literally right here. So I said, if this car is for me, I need you to show me right now. You guys, guess what happened? I'm getting ready to turn out. Guess what car drives past me going this way? Guess what kind of car it is? Someone in a Range Rover Evoque. Now, it was a different color. It was gray, but it was someone in that car. And then I knew. I was like, this car is mine. So I'm all happy and shit. I'm like telling my clients, I'm like, yeah. Like, I was telling them about my car, and they were like, oh, well, what are you gonna do? And I was just like, I'm getting a new car today, baby. I am getting a new car. And so what was so crazy was I went to the place where they had my car, where I got my car from, and I was like ready. I went and test drove it. You guys, when I got in this car, like, and when I seen the car in person, I was so shook, because I was comparing it to the one that I had built all those years ago, and everything is the same, even from when it's dark at night and I unlock my car door, like the little lights on the side, little miscellaneous things like that I put in my car, like I have that in this car. It is not the regular one, it is the sport one. It is everything that I wanted. And I'm driving and I'm test driving. I drive it to my complex, and I just am like shaking the whole time, because I'm like it's literally right here. Like, everything about this car, like the mileage, I went and got it checked out. I looked at the Carfax, no reports or anything. And you guys, I came back and I was ready. I said, okay, what do we got to do? Because I'm driving off with this car within the next 2 hours. I have somewhere I need to be. I need to go pick up my dog. So I have about 2 hours. I'm driving off with this car today. And that's what I did, you guys. I drove off with my car. I don't know. I'm thinking back on it now, and I'm just like, I still get shook, because when I tell you about this next part, like, it's all gonna tie together. So I drive off in the car, like, I'm shook, because I'm realizing that was the first time I realized that shit, like, manifestation works. But to actually see it in action, and to know and catch the little bridge of incidents is happening, to where it all ties together. And it's so true, you guys. You will not know, you won't even be able to fathom what happens, or what is happening in order for your manifestation to be brought to you. It is impossible. I couldn't have fathomed it to happen in that way, you guys. So when I went to go pick up Medusa, and the girl who I got her from, who was also one of my students and one of my friends, she was just floored with me, because she knew, like, I showed her the keychain and everything. Like, she was even like, oh my gosh, like, that's so crazy that this has happened to you. And then I told her about Medusa. And so when I got Medusa, like, I drove off with her that day in my brand new Range Rover. That was so crazy, you guys. Now, here's why I believe that I got them on the same, here's why I know I got them on the same day, was because when I went and bought this keychain, and I was ramping up my manifestation for the fact that I want a new car, I need to seal the deal in my new reality that I've created for myself. The only thing that's left to get rid of is this old car. So, but I also, the scene that I chose to visualize, this is important. There was one scene that made me feel the best, and I've had many scenes of me driving to my cycling class, pulling up at my studio, which we're in front of right now, doing all the things like in my Range Rover that I had the visualization for. But the one that I had the most feeling on was the one where me and my dog, we would be riding down the highway listening to music. I would let the sunroof, the moonroof back, and we would just be listening to music, having a good time. That was the reality. That was the one that gave me that feeling of like, this is mine and this is my reality and this is how it should be. So I had that visualization. That was the one that made me feel good. I had that visualization of me and my dog. At that time, it was a Rottweiler, but I didn't desire a Rottweiler as much as I had desired a Siberian Husky that looks just like Medusa. That's what's so crazy. And in order for me to have my reality, my new reality fully, in order for me to have it, I needed to have the Range Rover and I needed to have Medusa at the same time to complete living in that in moment, to be living from that moment, from that feeling. You guys, this stuff is really real. There was no way that I could have fathomed it like that. And the crazy thing that happened was that's what we did the next day. I'll take a picture. I'll put a picture of her that second day when we were riding together. You guys, when I tell you I was shook for like 3 days. And another thing that I realized was because I had went to the Domain, which is here in Austin. It's a nice fancy place where people shop, and I used to go park at that Nordstrom in my old hoopty, visualizing and thinking that it was my Range Rover. I used to go park up there with all the people who parked in their Ferraris, their Range Rovers, their Porsches and whatnot. I used to go park up there and think like, with my keychain in tow, like I have a Range Rover and I'm up here parking with you. And a lot of people wouldn't park over there unless they had a nice car. So I remember I wanted to take the puppy on a little walk, and we were going to go to the Domain, and I wanted to check a few stores over there. Why I pulled up and I parked at the Nordstrom in my Range Rover, I remember I was taking her out and it had like a light bulb had went off that I'm like, I had done this before. It was almost like deja vu. You guys, if you have never believed in manifestation, you guys, I still get like shook thinking about it. The fact that this is my life, and within a year, and even through the pandemic, I have made the most money I have ever made. I have transformed my life completely. I don't even remember who I really used to be, because this new version of me has definitely taken over. And I want to give you a few key things about manifesting a car or manifesting that one thing. And a lot of people ask me about specifically, how did I manifest this car? So like I said, I would go and build the dream car. So you guys, go build that dream car, go to that website, build that dream car that you're wanting. Get the keychain. I don't care if you're driving a Camry, I don't care if you're driving an old beat up car, go get a keychain with that BMW, with that Porsche on it. And if you could find a little knickknack that looks like the car that you want, get it and put it in your house. Get it, and just so that way it could be in your peripheral. And when I look back and think about the Bridge of Incidences, like the day before I got the car, I didn't tell anyone that I was going to test drive. I didn't tell anyone that I was going to get this new car. I had saw one of my other friends, and she told me, she was like, oh, she's like, I seen, she said, I seen you, a Range Rover, and it was a man in the car with his dog that looked just like Medusa, that you're like the dog that you're gonna get. She's like, and I was like, oh, she said that's gonna be Autumn and her dog in her Range Rover driving around. And when she said that, that was another reason I knew that I was getting that Range Rover the next day. You guys, there's a lot in my life that has happened to this extent to where I have been shook, but I think this time was the first time that I had really realized the Bridge of Incidence. I was able to recognize from when my credit score was going up, the lump sum of money. It was the setup. It was the setup, the brakes, because the brakes were fine until then. The brakes were set up in order for me to get the new car. And the crazy thing is, the guy was like, they had just got that car 3 days prior. And he was like, we don't keep like Range Rovers like especially at this good price. Like, they were like, there has not been one price that low as this one in so long, like with nothing wrong, with less miles, with everything. Like, he was like, this car was for you. Because I, of course, you know, I told him, I was like, you know, I manifested this car. Like, I told him, and if he didn't believe, now he believes. So I think there's a lot to be said about manifestation, but I think there's also a more to say about mindset and living from that feeling. And I realized once I drove off in this car, and it had been a few days, and it's actually been a few months now, about 4 months now, I realized what made this come in fast was that day that I accepted. The day that I accepted, I'm like, this is my reality. The day that my breaks have happened, I was like, this is my reality. I deserve to be driving in that Range Rover. I deserve to be fully immersed in this new life that I have created, the one that I have created for myself. I deserve to be living in this moment fully, in this scene that I have pictured for myself. And to almost play myself out of it would have been going against what I set out to do. And I think that's when I realized how much we co-create with the creator, but also how we can be God in our own life, over our own life, and making certain choices, co-creating with spirit, God, or whatever you want to call it. Like, you work together, and you have to go first. You have to just believe and be. So it wasn't until I fully embodied that I'm getting that Range Rover, that's when it came in. Like, I just have it. Like, it was almost to a point I was mad when the car got messed up, my brakes, but I was just like, see, I was mad because I was like, I should already have this freaking Range Rover. Why can't I just allow myself to just have it? So it was when I got to that acceptance and allowing, that's when it came in. So that's crazy, because I needed them both to fill out that scene that made me have the most feeling. So it is true what Neville says. Feeling is the secret, and living from that reality, living from that in, living from the fact that I am who I am in this new reality, and I create it on a moment-to-moment basis. So there's much more things that I have to share with you guys. I just wanted to take the time out and make a video about this finally. I am actually running an experiment on an aggressive manifestation, an aggressive goal that I have right now. And I will tell you guys in due time how it unfolds, but I'm looking to see how much I'm able to change and transmute certain energy into the manifestation. So I have much more to share with you, especially from a standpoint of being a woman and how we go about creating, and how we have trouble with receiving and accepting and trying to control everything, because from a state of fear, a state of lack, based on how society sees us and based on our own limiting beliefs. I think there's a lot to talk about there. So if you would like to join me in undoing and unwinding all these things, please just chill with me. Come join me, subscribe. I'll tell you more. I'll share with you more. And I think you'll see that the way that my mind works, the way I go about certain things is a little bit different. So like I said, we're all about spirituality, mindset, and a little practicality all mixed together, and being in our feminine while we're doing it. So go to the description box. I have something for you right there. It is for you to fill out and to see where you are in your journey. And I want you to note where you are. And as we go through these videos, as I make these videos, as we talk more about certain things, especially being a woman and how we manifest and how we are able to become that woman we want to be, regardless of what society says, you will start to see how you've been holding yourself back in a lot of ways. And I want to be able to do this, and I want to document it, because I, in some ways, am still progressing and undoing some of the limiting beliefs that I currently have, that I'm trying to face in order to get to the next level. So if you are interested, go to the description box. And I really want to thank you guys for listening to my story. And I know I was hyped because this is the one thing that really just gets me every time I think about it, every time I get behind this wheel, every time I pull up to my studio, every time I'm living in this reality that I've created for myself to the T. To the T, you guys, to the T. I'm floored every time. And I know I found the cheat code. Now I know I found the cheat code. So thank you for watching, and I hope you like, share, and subscribe. I will see you guys in my next video. Have a good one. Bye.